Am I too old for YouTube? Reviving a dead YouTube channel. Reviving a dead channel. The rise and fall of Brian G. Johnson. Too old? YouTube changed my life at 50 plus. Why people over 40 must start a YouTube channel. YouTube over 40? How to jumpstart a channel in 2025. So those are some of the titles that segue me into my first question is you use words like dead channel and reviving a dead channel in several of your titles. What inspired you to come back to YouTube after a multi-year break? Can you explain, what dead is for a channel?
Yeah, so for me personally, I have been a very creative individual with my work and business, and I think they're kind of um, intertwined. And not there's one word I'm leaving out, and just my life as a creative individual, an author of two books. I've done self-publishing. I've done list building. I've been an entrepreneur online since for over 22 years now, so
Mm,
for a really long time. And 4 years ago, I went through a divorce, and it just kind of took the wind out of my sails. And what I found was I still uploaded,
mhm.
sort of maybe a
Yeah.
video a month, a video every other month for about 3 years, but that's nowhere near what's needed. And furthermore, what I like to think about now is I'm capable of so much output. In other words, if I had to chase down a dream, let's say YouTube growth or whatever, how
Mhm.
much would I put into that to make it happen?
Right.
And sometimes I hear people talking about, well, I'm going to make a few videos, test it out and see what I think. And I think that's really a great way to start and to maybe make a few videos and then see if you like it. But at some point, if we do really decide we want to show up and win on YouTube, I think we need to play at a high level in order to get the ball rolling. I think there needs to be a season of high output. And, for me, I've had a number of years where I've really put a lot into YouTube in
Mhm.
order to get the momentum flowing. And then we can kind of take a step back and sort of go into maintenance mode where maybe, previously I was at 90% of my total output. Like I can't do much more. I'm kind of pushing up against, I need to rest. I need to eat. I only have so much creative energy to put into YouTube. But
Mhm.
I would say in the last year, I've been around 80%. I could do
Mm.
more. I think when I first started, I was probably at 85 to 90%. But today, because I've learned about cameras and delivery and titles and thumbnails, 80% was plenty, but still really, really challenging. And so for me coming back, I started feeling about a year ago, I'm ready to give more to chasing down my dreams. I wasn't sure if I'd want to ever really lean into YouTube growth like I once had,
Mhm.
especially in the channel that is my primary channel, which deals about YouTube growth. Like I had
Yeah.
covered so many topics on getting views and subscribers and understanding the algorithm and understanding how to make it happen that at a certain point I felt like I don't know if I have more to say. But I also knew I was burnt out. I also knew I was going through a tough personal time. And about a
Mhm.
year ago, I started feeling like, wow, I'm ready to really lean into YouTube and really apply myself to achieve something I'm proud of. And I didn't really have everything figured out, and I still don't. I don't think anybody ever does personally. That's how I think about things for myself. I don't have things figured out, but I'm just trying to figure out the next step. I know where I
Yeah.
want to go. I know what I can do in order to get there, and I just need to focus on the next step. Um,
So, so can I ask you, sorry to
yeah,
interrupt there.
no, no,
Okay.
I'll just keep talking. So please interrupt me. It'll make for a
Okay.
better conversation.
So you had achieved that amazing $100,000 subscribe, $100,000,
Yeah.
100,000 subscriber mark. And now in coming back, like obviously reaching that milestone must have been a huge thing when it happened. Is your motivation, somewhat different this time around in terms of like
Yeah.
I'm sure that was a driver because you had a lot
Mm.
of your close buddies like Nick Nimmin and others also achieving these results, and then Daniel Batal and and the like. So the reason I'm asking that is because um, even though I'm a much smaller YouTuber, I felt great when I achieved my 10,000 milestone where I'm at, but it's not, to me, the meaning of that number is not the same, or growing in just the numbers. It's more about, for me, having a more of an impact on the people I want to serve. So I feel I've shifted my balance a little there.
Yeah, for sure. Like, what's interesting is I think a lot of people put a lot of weight on what it's going to feel like once I achieve this goal. And I kind of knew for me personally that I don't think it's going to be this like end all thing. I think I'm going to have 100,000 subscribers. I think it's still going to be challenging. I think I'm going to publish good videos, bad videos in terms of views and channel growth.
Right.
Um, but what I can say is, when I started coming back, I just did it because I wanted to have something to focus on to make
Mhm.
money, number one. But just as much as that, I would say it's about 50-50 today to do something that's fulfilling. I think a lot of times we can think it would be so nice if I didn't have a job or if I could just, not have to worry about money. But I think that, we're here to add something to the world, to do something
Mhm.
that we are proud of, to help people, to help ourselves, to strive. And again, kind of like I talked about when I started, to play at a level where we're trying to impact and create
Mhm.
something we're proud of. So for me in the beginning, it was first 10,000 subscribers in 1 year, and I hit that,
Mhm.
and then 100,000 subscribers, and I didn't really have a timeline. Just that was kind of the next one of the big goals, and I had
Mhm.
about five. I wanted to speak at Vid Summit, social media marketing world. I wanted to publish a book. I wanted to hit 10,000 subscribers in a year, and then I wanted to hit 100,000 subscribers whenever. And so one of the things that happened is I did those things. So I think part of the problem that I faced is that I had done all the things I set out
Mhm.
to do, and well, why am I here? You know what I mean? And I was very burnt out. And then, like I said, I went through this divorce, so I needed to step away. I couldn't play
Mhm.
at that high level. And then, 3 years later, 3.5 years later, I started feeling that drive and motivation to play at a high level. And at the time, I was focused more on my photography channel. Um, and I published about 4 videos to that channel, striving to grow. Where in the
Mhm.
past it was much more about I'm excited about this topic. I want to make this video. I know there's an audience, but it's more about my desire to just cover this topic. And then when I came back, it was, well, I'm going to make this video because I think it's going to get me more views. And I did, and they got me more views, and my channel kind of spiked for a moment. And then as I was kind of thinking about things in the back of my mind, I thought, I wonder if I should come back to YouTube, if that's really the call, because I felt like, I am a speaker, I've done the coaching. Financially, it's a good opportunity to do brand deals, and furthermore, I know the topic, and I felt like that was something I was really good at. So I came back and I published a video, and I remember at the time it's not that I drove a crazy amount of views, but I did have a really high engagement level with a lot of people saying they were so happy and excited to see a video from me. Because
Mhm.
prior to that, I hadn't published a video for close to 9 months. So I think people were like, "Wow, it's great to have you back." And then I kind of went down that path, and now my motivation is I'm still kind of working that out. I want to hit 200,000 subscribers, but what's interesting is that after a certain amount of time,
Mhm.
especially when you have a how-to channel, you have people that unsubscribe and you have channels that are dead. So I've actually even heard other educators in the YouTube space mentioning it can be harder to grow an older channel because one of the things that matters is getting people to click. So in my case, if people are excited about YouTube and they subscribe and they watch videos and then they give up, and they're not watching those videos anymore, and YouTube shows my new video to them, but they don't click because they've given up. Well, then that's actually hurting my click-through rate, my CTR, my watch time, and it's kind of a hard challenge to overcome. And every month I lose 500 to 700 subscribers. So just to break even, not to be
Mhm.
negative, I need to hit, 5 to 700 subscribers. Right now I'm at 1100 plus, so 1100 subscribers a month
Nice.
based on, some successful videos. And I'm getting to that place where I'm kind of rising above. But what's interesting is that I feel like I've been coming back for the last month. I'm sorry, for the last year, but really the last 3 months has been at a higher level. I think for the first
Hmm.
9 months was maybe 60 to 70%. And I'd say recently I'm more again 70, 75, 85%. So I'm reaching higher by publishing more, learning, and always trying to improve what really truly matters, which is something I think a lot of creators really mix up, which is sad because if we're not focused on the triggers that can really move the needle, then it's hard to move the needle. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
kind of how I look at it today, Gord, is that, I'm trying to reach my potential, whatever that is. And I'm driven by the numbers, but I also have a little bit of ease of I've already done it. And
Mhm.
I have people that might not believe that because they've got their own agenda, they've got their own thoughts and ideas, and I totally understand. They don't know me. People don't know
Mhm.
what I've done, but I do. And so today it's just like, I simply really want to talk about how to grow on YouTube. And I do want to demonstrate that, I can do it too, even though it's challenging. And those are kind of the motivations I have today.
Okay, cool. So I think this next question you probably answered in a mix in there, but I'm going to ask it again anyways for a simplified
Sure, sure.
answer. So, how has your approach to content creation changed from when you first started? So, like in your comeback phase, um, what's changed in your attitude about what you want to teach, or you know what I mean? Like, what's your content
Well,
strategy?
what's interesting, Gord, is I started developing a system um, around 2017, 2018, and I talked about it through 2020, and I still do. But I haven't made a course about it. I haven't put it in a book, and those are things I would possibly like to do. A course would come first, then a book. Um, and for me, it's really valuing and
Hmm.
understanding that what matters the most is just that. Like, when should I publish? Well, when your video is done. I think,
Hmm.
if we can let go of the small questions, the small triggers that really don't make much difference, and we can focus on what matters the most, which is remained the same for me. But you can take those things very, very deep, which sadly, when I look at a lot of struggling creators, they don't. They're worried about when should I publish, and the algorithm hates me. And I like literally before we came on, I was talking about using three multicam, three angles,
Hmm.
new lenses, and a lot of the skills that I learned with photography when I took my break are helping me now to create
Hmm.
content that I'm proud of. So for me, it's really understanding what's most important, 10 things, the audience, the niche research. Like, I think when you really research your niche and you're looking for opportunity on YouTube, you'll start to find it. But yet there are plenty of people that don't really watch videos in the space that they're in, and they
Hmm.
might not see the opportunity happen. For example, a lot of people are making these YouTube easy mode videos, and the reason why is because it's like a mini trend that started with small creators.
Right.
This is really powerful because if in my niche, right, if some of the players are at the top and they cover the YouTube is now an easy mode topic, then I have to beat those players. But if it's more smaller channels, but yet there's a lot of people making those videos, then the algorithm, and this is a great example of really
Right.
honoring what's most important. The algorithm sees that people have watched these videos, and then what it literally does is it looks at, okay, well, what can help uh, and I'm hearing my phone go off, so I'm getting distracted. But the algorithm's going to pay attention to what viewers have watched. So if one viewer has watched two videos on YouTube as an easy mode and I publish another, well, then there's a good chance that my video is going to get served to that viewer, especially if I have high CTR. People are clicking on my video more of the time and they're watching my video longer. So at the end of the day, the fundamentals of what I've always taught really haven't changed a ton.
Hmm.
And if you watch my content, you'll hear me talk about these things, and it's boring. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of people focus all their energy on what happens inside of YouTube Studio,
Yeah.
but that's not really the most important stuff. It's having the skill to make a great thumbnail so you can trigger the CTR, but that doesn't happen in YouTube Studio. People are wondering, well, what settings will get me views? Like those can help a little teeny bit. But if you publish a turd, it's still a turd and it doesn't matter and you'll lose. So I think for me, it's always honoring what's most important and striving to improve my skills and abilities. And what I love about the point of my journey now is that I can just teach more because I'm
Hmm.
doing multicam and I understand color correction and I'm using AI in ways that most people aren't. You know, I'm using AI. I first take a photo for my thumbnail with a fancy 50 megapixel photography camera, and then I run it through AI, and most people don't know it's been enhanced slightly by AI, but it improves the color slightly. It improves the
Hmm.
lighting a little bit. It improves some interesting look about the photo and so on. So it's really just about, honoring again what's most important, but diving into those things on a deeper level.
Hmm. Can you help clarify for me when you say honoring what's important? So if I were to say, you need to make content that resonates with your audience. You described easy mode, but that was, from my perspective, it's more of like a trending thing and sort of in research and you following what's going on YouTube. So does that map into, well, that's going to definitely resonate with my audience, or you did that because, this is an opportunity to take advantage of a trending topic kind of thing?
Yeah, both.
Both. Okay.
Because the thing that I have to do is I have to meet my audience with where they're at, which is tough for me because everybody wants an easy answer and easy
Mhm.
button. Like I've done a poll on my community tab 2 times, and both times the percentages were almost exactly the same. And I
Mhm.
asked, is the YouTube algorithm, is it fair? And I got an answer back twice, and it's almost identical. 70% of the people, actually now it's like 71, said no, which is sad
Hmm.
because I think if you think the algorithm isn't fair, then you're never really focusing on what you can do to actually grow your channel. You're focused on the fact that it's not fair. When people ask, when should I publish my video? You're not focused on how can I make better thumbnails? How can I learn video editing at a higher level to improve the
Mhm.
engagement of my videos? I'm not thinking about topics. So I mentioned 10 items. So, YouTube easy mode, one of the things that I talk about in this structure now is
Right.
it really pays to do deep research and recon to understand what's happening in your particular niche with the viewing audience that's in that niche. So I saw that people are responding to these YouTube is an easy mode, and I made a few videos. I made maybe 2 or 3 videos, and I just shot another one today before I came
Mhm.
on saying YouTube is not an easy mode, because some people are pushing back and saying no, YouTube sucks, it's hard. And I understand where they're coming from, but I can talk about it from either angle, because
Yeah.
fact of the matter is a lot of creators are doing great without editing. Does that mean it's easy?
Mhm.
Sort of. Like you don't have to edit as much and you can still succeed. Does that mean you shouldn't edit? Maybe.
Mm.
I don't know. It depends on where you're at. But I just encourage people to move forward with their videos the best they can. And again, to strive to improve the things that matter. So um, I hope that makes sense as far as,
Yeah.
answering your
Yeah. I'm
question.
gonna I'm gonna draw an example in that really kind of amazed me. Recently, I've been watching, there's an 80-year-old YouTuber. His name's Mike. I forget what the name of his channel is, but he's really taken off. And he says, even though I'm here and it looks simple in the filming and I don't do a lot of sophisticated editing, I still put in 10 to 20 hours to produce this video. And he talked about all his research and his preparation and making sure that he delivered well. And he says, a lot of people don't know what it takes to put into that. And I also heard you, in a recent interview that you did, where you talked about, well, what about if you're a YouTuber? Like like you've said today, gaining all of this experience through your fascination and deep interest in photography and learning all those things. And now you talked about three angle camera shooting and everything. Well, what's wrong with having higher production value and not say that maybe that isn't something we strive for as we evolve as a creator on our journey. Maybe easy mode is more about something that's just well, we can kind of get away with getting our anchor, our footage on YouTube by the easy mode way, the way it's kind of come out from a lot of people. But at a point in time, you know, I'm sure you want to evolve more in terms of your production quality and other things, right?
Yeah, I think the thing that I think about is that we don't necessarily have to edit a video to win on YouTube and to grow. But I think for somebody that has very basic editing know-how, they have
Mm-hmm.
a big advantage because, the person that doesn't edit at all is probably having to press record and then press record again to stop the recording. And they almost have to be, I don't want to say perfect, but they can't make a mistake. And
Mm-hmm.
when I start, almost always when I start filming a video, it takes me a while to get warmed up and comfortable. And then all of a sudden, I can just chat and talk, and I have enough knowledge because, again, I'm really interested in learning all I can about my niche and my topic. So then I don't need to spend as much time on research and planning, and
Mm-hmm.
I can get a video shot and done start to finish in 75 minutes, and it performs really
Mm-hmm.
well with minimal editing and with minimal research because along the way I'm just doing it as I as I evolve. And the thing that I like to talk about is that when I talk about easy mode, I see it as if you have 5 hours a week and you can split that up in 1 hour blocks, you can crush YouTube because in 1 hour you can film a video. In 1 hour you can create bullet points structuring a video or scripting
Mm-hmm.
it. In 1 hour, you can teach yourself to make some thumbnails. In 1 hour, you can shoot photos to use for a bunch of different thumbnails. In
Yeah.
1 hour, you can again edit a video. You can do all the things. You can improve your lighting. You can test different things. And I think if you look at it in that way, and instead of, spending time asking questions, watching other videos, I think a lot of people are spread in a lot of different directions and they don't have clear focus on trying to address what matters the most. So if your audio sucks, it needs to be improved.
Yeah.
If your thumbnails are poor, then improving them can help you get a higher CTR. And for example, when I came back, I have improved my CTR to a bunch of videos where before I was around 4%, 4.5%. Now I'm at 5, 6,
Wow.
7%. So
That's
that's a
awesome.
that's a really big improvement. And it's
Yeah.
more likely that those videos do well because one of the things I think about is the CTR is the algorithm's measurement of how interested the viewers are. But
Mm-hmm.
interest doesn't mean they like the video. Interest
Right.
means they're interested in the topic. And then getting people to watch long enough demonstrates that, yes, they're interested over here. And then when they click, they trigger the algorithm because the watch time is good because they watched long enough to get great watch time metrics and so on. So again, I think when we think about what's truly most important and we honor those things and we let go of the algorithm hates small creators
Yeah.
and it's going to be hard as an old person or I'm not going to be able to do it because of this thing and that person can do it because they're special and I'm not, which I think it's easy to fall into that trap.
Yeah.
Then we can really get down to work and learn. But yet, I don't think a lot of creators do that because they're always looking for an easy button or they're not quite sure about what does really matter. And it seems boring too. Like I've heard about thumbnails, so
Mm-hmm.
they keep looking for that magic button, but if it's if it doesn't exist, then we're spending time looking for something that we'll never find, and then we can never really improve what matters, and we're guaranteeing ourselves to fail.
Yeah. Okay. So this makes me think of two things I wanted to ask in there. In my comeback now, I'm trying to own more. that, yeah, it's not the algorithm, it's me trying to figure out how I can be a better me in what I'm delivering. So I'm owning that more, and that's causing a little less stress in my pressure on myself to succeed. But what I wanted to ask you, aside from that, is do you think that as a mature creator, I'm going to call it, did you have a special advantage over younger people in the space? And
Mm,
how would you share or explain, having been at it in YouTube for such a while, what may help that older creator, especially someone like me, in doing a comeback, or just like trying to find longer legs in their journey and not give up?
yeah, sure. I think for me, the first thing I think about is just honoring where we're at, and just that's it. So one of the things I've been thinking about over the last literally 36 hours kind of popped into my mind. It's very, very common. We all know it. And yet it's hard to honor, which is if I can just do this one thing really, really well, a mindset thing, YouTube will be much, much easier, which is just honoring our own journey. It doesn't matter how old I am or how old you are, or whether you're new or old, whether, you don't have a fancy camera, none of that matters. The only thing that matters is our own personal progress on YouTube. Like when I
Right.
look into YouTube, I see things, statements like your performance has improved. Now, I thought about that, and that's what triggered this. It doesn't say
Right.
compared to Nick Nimmin, you're doing okay. It says your performance. And I think we get so hung up on like being good enough and feeling like we're going to be worthy that we play this compare game, and
Yeah.
we get in a really dangerous place. So I think if I can just start off by saying, none of it matters and it's all crap. I'm too old, I'm too young, I'm too pretty, I'm too fat, I'm too sophisticated. I've got like I shoot with great cameras and everybody's shooting with phones in their cars and blowing up. But I need to honor what I love, and I love the production and the cameras, and that's a big part of what I
Yeah.
want to do. So I just need to honor my progress and my performance with my videos. As far as being older, there's pros and cons to everything. I
Mhm.
think, when we're just getting started, there's a big advantage because nobody knows you yet. So,
Yeah.
and what's interesting is you can start for 4 or 5 years, and if you haven't blown up, then nobody really knows you because like if the audience is this big and you're tapping into, this size percentage of the audience, 5%, that when you start to break out, that's when people think, you just succeeded. It's the
Right.
overnight success that takes 5 years. On the other hand, someone that like me, where today, like I just have a lot easier time making videos, even though I still swear and I still struggle and I still like go through this process where things are always not working because it's technical. But today I understand that, when I'm in front of the camera, those feelings I have will dissipate at some point. Eventually I'll be comfortable. Some days I'm going to
Yeah.
be tired and it's going to be hard. Other days it's going to be a walk in the park. It's going to be easier, but over time I'm going to have the ability just to make it happen. So I
Yeah.
think, that for me today is what really matters, is just honoring who I am and what I want to do. Get on
Yeah.
with it.
It's funny that you just said that some days I'm tired. And this reminds me of like this, some of the things I struggle with. So I have been trying to improve my sleep quality so that I have good energy when I'm up or going to do something that's on the performance level. And this past summer, I had to work all summer long producing my course that I taught on YouTube. And it was draining, but some days I would just be, oh no, I just have nothing to give. And then the whole self-sabotage stuff would come in. I'm going to look like crap. Maybe I'll just try to sleep it off and jam it all into another day or two or whatever. And, for some reason, this brings me back to something that really resonated with you that you said to me often, because when you were coaching me, you would always tell me when I'd bring these kinds of things up, like fear of judgment, what are others going to think, and my perfectionist, whatever, and to let go, is that you would always say, swim in your own lane, get rid of that crap and just
Hmm.
focus. And that was like, among the best advice that you gave me, that it would, if I could recenter myself when I get into that sort of off kilter mindset, it helped a lot. I'm just wanted to share that because that was such a vital thing, because it is so easy. Like I can sit here and say, okay, part of the niche that I'm following, what I do isn't trending anymore. I grew a lot better in the past. Am I, have I missed my chance? I mean, that's, these are all the kinds of things that can swim in your head as you're trying to make a comeback and the
Sure.
views are low. But then I look at my performance and what I just did in the last couple of videos talking about this self-sabotage concept. I'm really proud of what I've done and put together. And if I focus there and go to do the next thing, like you said to me, you know,
Yeah.
just that's great. Now focus on the next thing. And like, you said, actually, you called it, focus in the now. And that was a big thing you shared with me
Hmm.
recently, right? Because I seem to have like looking back and looking forward, I'm doing all this dance on myself unnecessarily when it's like, okay, what are you going to do next? And now I've got my ideas and time to focus there.
Yeah, and I think it's easy to live in the past where a lot of times we may have regret. And the flip side of that is being worried about the future, and then that can create a lot of anxiety. But if
Yeah.
I can just focus on like today, what am I trying to do? So like yesterday it was I want to get my studio back up and running because I'm always like kind of mixing up the angles and different lens. Like it's really fun now. I'm shooting with a 75 millimeter and then a 35 and a 50 millimeter and different focal points. And that means different distances.
Yeah.
But it takes time to do that. And like yesterday, I got started and I thought I would be filming a video or have it all together. And I got about 80% set up. Then today, I had another 20% to kind of dial everything in. And
Hmm.
then I was able to, once I had everything like this is where the tripod is, these are the settings, making sure the white balance is the same on the cameras. Once I had it all dialed in, and then it was actually not too challenging. Press record 3 times,
Yeah.
and just and then share from the heart and have a few notes and I'm living in the now versus worrying about the future or the past. And I think that's one of the things that was really really freeing is that I think a
Hmm.
lot of people when they talk about trying to make a comeback on YouTube, they're
Hmm.
thinking about what they once had, which is like it doesn't matter because that was the past. You can't recreate that. You cannot. If you
And you
get to
also,
that.
if I could interrupt just for 1 second, you also raised the point to me to say that, many people could have moved on now and maybe they're not even doing YouTube, and you're worried all about every one of those subscribers dwelling in the past when things were like, going to the moon for me at a point, right? So then
Yeah,
I got to
exactly.
thinking and I go like, why? Yeah, why am I showing attachment to that? It doesn't serve me.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So it's really just about trying to move forward, honoring what I have today, and being grateful. And I find the more that I can be grateful, which is really challenging often, it takes a lot of it's kind of like the smile versus frown thing. I've read somewhere or heard that it takes like 2 or 3 times the muscles to smile versus
Yeah.
frown. It's more energy, and it's the same with trying to be positive. But the benefit is that the more I do that, the more I'm grateful for what I have today. And
Yeah.
the more I just can move forward because I feel good about what I'm doing. And I've always said this too. Anytime I take a longer break, I'm not trying to like, drive 100,000 views on my first video back. I'm trying to
Right.
just publish. The only thing I'm trying to do is publish a video. Maybe the second video, I'm like, okay, well, let's try to do this. Let's try to make just a small improvement and just trying to improve 1% week by week. It starts to really add up. That's a 52% improvement in 1 year. And a lot of
Yeah.
times it's much more than that, especially when we're starting because we're kind of bad when we start. We have a lot to learn. There's a lot of information we need to deal with and process. and over time we get there. But, applying all that pressure that you mentioned, it just kind of it takes the joy out of the journey. And at the end of
Totally.
the day, you mentioned like, well, what about, 100,000 subscribers? It doesn't matter. It does, it's just a number, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um, so I think the more we can just honor our own growth, our own metrics, and try to improve, the more off we'll, the better off we'll be.
So this is fascinating because I've observed that I think you're producing like three, sometimes four videos a week for quite a while now. Is that accurate? An
Yeah,
accurate
anywhere
statement?
between, well, so when I
And
came back, and it's
yeah.
interesting because like I still want to grow too.
Hmm.
But I'm not comparing to what I had in the past. I'm
Right.
just trying to see what is my potential. And
Right.
I
So what
love
I'm,
this. I love this because
yeah.
it's not in the future. It's not in the past. It's like, what is my potential and how am I going to get there? And it's having a general direction I want to go in the future, but still being
Mhm.
present. And so, I came back a year ago and I'm uploading fairly regularly, although in the summer I got COVID. I took a vacation, so that resulted in
Yeah.
like one upload in 7 weeks.
Right.
But when I came back was around the beginning of September. And then I went to Vid Summit and I was very inspired. And Vid Summit was
Mhm.
good for me because I forgotten all the good that I put into the world. I forgot that I'm Brian G.
Mhm.
Johnson and I've helped a
Right.
lot of people. And the amount of people that responded and said, "Oh my God, thank you so much." And, I'm always with the speakers hanging out, but I'm in the speaker room and they're giving me the Peter McKinnon backpacks and all the swag that the speakers get. Just I don't know how that happened, but it did. And when I came back, I really thought, well, what do I need to do? And I
Mm.
had committed once I did come back to at least publish one video a week. But I thought if I continue with one video a week, I'm not sure I'll get to where I want to go. And so
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
said, well, I'm going to sacrifice maybe a little bit of quality for a lot of speed. So a
Yeah.
little bit of perfection will be sacrificed for more videos, more topics, more fishing lines in the water, trying to, catch that winning video. And
That's a great point. I'm going to interrupt. I apologize. Is I see you, Brian, as someone that does believe in high production quality and is a bit of a perfectionist in his own way and that's part of what keeps you down the growth path. Yet you've managed to achieve so much, I'll call it extra production, but you're doing it with a sense of grace now that I just see is different. And I'm like really impressed by that. So if you were to like, I mean, you've talked a lot about it. So what's the little advice pitch in there to help people?
well, I'm glad you asked this question. And I think if anybody has made it this far, the next 10 minutes will be really powerful. And my question to you, Gord, is what do
Mm.
you think if you had to choose two or three things that are really the most important thing in a video that drive views and subscriber growth, because that's what everybody wants, what do you think it would be? Two or three things.
Well, obviously the packaging of the video to me, which is, tied to the topic, title, thumbnail, and getting a decent click-through rate, and then delivering on the promise there and create an engaging video that I'd say resonates with your audience. And that's an ongoing learning
Sure.
experience. Those are some of the things
But the
I
one
look at, but
thing,
I have to have my passion as well,
sure.
for the whole cause. Did it?
And I think that last statement is kind of leading towards the place I want to go.
Mm.
One of the things I've said for a really long time, and it's interesting because for me personally, I don't know if it held me back because I still believe in this statement, which is people spend too much time on packaging or they have
Mhm.
too much weight in packaging. And the reason they're failing is they don't have the ability to keep viewers watching.
Right.
So you can have the best packaging in the world. You can have the best title in the world, but if your on-camera performance, your delivery, how you communicate, how you speak to the camera, your body language, if these
Yeah.
things are off, it won't matter because if the angle of the camera sucks, if it's funny, it'll make the audience uncomfortable. If you're
Hmm.
extremely close to the camera, like this isn't even close enough. I'd like to be just filling the whole frame. It's too close and it doesn't feel comfortable. So there are all these things that really have to do with how we appear on camera. If you're like, well,
Yeah.
I'm not on camera, well, then your voiceover. Again, it's really the most important thing when it comes to success on YouTube.
Yeah.
I can find tons of creators that don't make thumbnails and they're wildly successful. How could that be? Because it's the video quality. And once someone
Yeah.
finds a video and clicks on it, and if they watch and engage long enough, then they're going to come back to the channel. The YouTube algorithm is going to suggest the next video because the metrics were in alignment. So for
Yeah.
me personally, I feel like I neglected thumbnails because I knew how to make a video. I knew how to shoot video. I wasn't excited about photography in my studio. I didn't really understand it. I know about, great outdoor photography and wildlife and whatnot. But by neglecting that one thing, it actually held me back because I feel like my watch time is interesting in that I'm right on the cusp of like um, A plus level creators, but
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm not Nick Nimmin, who the way Nick communicates and what he says and how he says it and how he's easy to watch and how he doesn't make it too complicated and it makes it like a brother versus sometimes
Yeah.
I'm a
Yeah.
little too deep, it's too heady, it seems hard, and that's going to turn people off. So by improving my thumbnails and my CTR, I think that was the right move for me. And yet I stand by the idea of like, we need to learn how to keep viewers watching longer. And
Yeah.
what's the fastest way to do that is to have the ability to step in front of a camera without a script and just share. And know when I'm going too long and I need to move forward and I'm going to delete that, I'm going to circle back and edit that out. And once I decided, okay, what I'm going to do is in order to jumpstart my channel is I'm not going to make an amazing video once a week. I'm going to make a lot of really good videos. And in doing that, I'm going to be able to improve things video to video because that's more chances to target different topics. It's more chances to learn about the lighting and the photography and I'm pushing myself to continue the journey, where we started with the 10 things. So,
Hmm.
I needed to update my thumbnails and my images, and I've done that now. And I needed
Hmm.
to, produce more videos to be able to get more new people into my channel. Like that's one of the
Hmm.
things that's critical for an older channel to succeed. And again, it goes back to you can't say, well, I used to get this many views. Like at
Yeah.
the moment we do that, I think we're losing because you can't. That is the past. It's gone. Let it go. The moment I
Yeah.
say, this is what I have, I'm grateful. I want a little bit more. And the way to get there is to honor what I can do today. So I made a decision and it's funny because Nick was like, dude, just please stay consistent because it's the thing that's held me back. And again, I broke that. I
Yeah.
promised I'm
Yeah.
going to upload at least one video a week, but instead of banking them making videos and not publishing and waiting and making sure I have videos to publish, I'm just like, it's done, published, make another video. And it really helped me. And along the way, I saw these video opportunities in my
Hmm.
niche and I made those videos quickly trying to balance like how much time do I put in this video? Do I spend a little extra time editing? And I'm still moving fast, but knowing, when to spend a little bit more time, when just to rush it out and publish. And the result was some nice growth, especially when I got to that point where I went from one video a week to a minimum of about probably like three, maybe even four,
Hmm.
like you said.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I did that for about 5 weeks. And then I backed off a little bit, striving to improve the quality of each video just a little bit more. And the
Hmm.
reason I did that is because then I did have a base of viewers that were coming back and new viewers. And it's
Hmm.
so funny. And it just goes to show you along that timeline. So this was probably from October to November.
Right.
I published a video on DoDash and it totally blew up. It drove 20,000 views, got me a bunch of subscribers. And then the views slowly started tapering off. And I'm like, damn, my views and my metrics are going to go down. And then 2 weeks later, I did it again. I published another video and it's driven now 18,000 views. And it was on such a simple concept, like how to introduce myself on YouTube.
Hmm.
And it's simple for me, but for a lot of people, it's not. And this is what they think about. This is what they
Yeah,
resonate
like
with.
if I could interrupt and ask there, you seem to have an infinite supply of topics to put out there and produce something on. So how has that changed from the past? Like, is it coming from a different place inside you? Like, what's in inspiring? All right, I'm going to do that video, how to introduce yourself on YouTube, and maybe that's nothing you would have considered in your
I
earlier time.
think
I'm just curious if something's
yeah. Remember, I
evolved there.
mentioned like number one is for me personally, anytime I'm not making stuff, I'm not being creative, it's easy to overthink and try to
Yeah.
theorize my way to success. The moment I start making videos regularly, the ideas come like they're all around. And I mentioned the 10 things. And one of the things I think I mentioned was really researching and honoring and knowing your niche and understanding your audience. And I'm really making videos in two different ways. One is based on topics where I feel like I could possibly rank and search. And that's powerful because I can rank and search and drive views every day. And that creates stability in my channel. Where if I
Hmm.
stop publishing, because I've got 5 or 10 videos that are ranking, I'm still driving 2,000 views a day. Versus if I chase browse, those typically die off in my analysis for my channel in 2 to 4 weeks. So
Mm.
if I stop publishing, then if I'm always making trending topics, I might go way down in daily views. But if I've got some videos ranking in search, and now I have about two or three that are doing well, one in particular, the amount of views continues to escalate. It
Nice.
it was 50 a day, then it was 100, and now I just hit 250 views a day. That's a lot of views when they keep coming every single day. And typically, when you do rank and search, it's hard to knock someone out of search, which means it's a two-way street. It's hard to rank, but once you do, it's hard for other people to come knock you out. And,
Hmm.
some of my best videos ranked for 2+ years, driving thousands of views a day. And that's how I hit 100K
Yeah.
subscribers. So that's one of the things. And when you're just really prolific and you're kind of paying attention and you're seeing what's going on, and it's all in YouTube Studio. I mean,
Hmm.
literally, they've got the trending tab now. It used to be inspiration. The inspiration's in content. And by using these tools and just thinking about, I'm trying to rank and search, I'm paying attention to keyword phrases, and I'm trying less to qualify and make sure this is the perfect video. Like, screw that. Like I have to do this dance now and mental dance and gymnastics of, all these things. Like I can be done with this video in 35 minutes.
Yeah, it's funny. This theme is coming to me. It's like Brian is showing us how to do advanced easy mode, and a lot of it's kind of like, following those rules you described, not overthinking, staying focused in the moment, and some of these things. Like that's why I say I see you in this kind of flow state now. That's really impressive, and I'm watching closely to see how I managed to do things in my effort to come back. So I appreciate all that you're doing, and being able to watch you go through this process now, and the results happen is very inspirational to someone like me in the comeback journey. So I just wanted to share that as part of
Oh, well,
our
it's
discussion.
it's it's fantastic, and I'm glad you're coming back, and it's good to see you coming back, Gord. And it's hard and it takes time, but what's interesting is I think the more we kind of just lean into the process, the easier it becomes. So, for me, one of the biggest things is saying, okay, sometimes I'll script, sometimes I won't. And I can script a pretty detailed video in maybe an hour to 2 hours. And
Mhm.
if I'm doing that once a week, maybe, and I'm making a bunch of videos where I literally just hit record and I might have a few bullet points. Like the video I mentioned that I think it now has 18,000 views.
Right.
I didn't have anything for that video other than an idea.
Mm,
But I knew in the moment that my mental state and how I felt was very strong. And I knew
yeah.
I could just kind of riff on anything. And I knew that was
Mm,
precious. So I thought, oh, I just noticed that Selma Joffrey published a video on how to introduce yourself on YouTube.
mm,
And I noticed she was ranking #1. And I said, okay, well, I'd like to rank for that search term too. And I need to like research that video? No, I've made 800 videos. I know exactly what to talk about. And instead of trying to make it perfect, but I just want to get it done, I did. It was a simple video edit, and I was done recording in 15 to 20 minutes,
wow.
multi-camera angle. Then I sent that off to a video editor, or I could have edited it myself in 30 minutes. And then I went downstairs again, recorded another video. I recorded 3 videos that day. And it just goes to show you another time when I did this too. I recorded one video where I talked about really struggling, but I was not gonna go into this place where I just sat and kind of fell down and
Mm,
bad. But instead, even though I don't feel perfect, I'm just gonna continue to work, and people responded to that. It wasn't the kind of thing that's going to grow my channel, but it is the kind of thing that really dedicated viewers and subscribers resonate with because they like what I have to say. And
yeah.
interestingly, the next video I filmed, I think was the DoDash video.
Mm,
So, it's kind of like, wow, I talk about feeling horrible, and then I turn around and people were like worried and mess. I'm like, I'm okay. I'm just being, I'm just honestly sharing how I feel, which a lot of times I think plenty of people do that, but I think plenty of people don't. And they're,
hmm.
they're always trying to come across as everything is peachy keen,
Yeah.
peaches and cream.
Yeah.
And
Well, I'm kind of starting to feel, if I could just interrupt there for a second, say, I'm accepting more to be vulnerable and sort of share about my challenges on there. And it's actually liberating in a way. And it actually helps me connect with the audience, and it's revived a lot of people that used to watch me too, and they're rooting for me, and they've gained so much in learning and watching my videos, and that just like lit me up inside as part of the inspiration on coming back. But I have a question here because of what you just said, and I think I might have forgot it, but give me a second. See, we're recording, and it's not a perfect moment for me. But in your oh yeah, I remember now.
perfect.
If you are producing at this heavy a rate, how have you sort of changed or would address knowing that you're at risk for burnout again? I'm just curious to know if your radar or has anything changed that
Um,
you know more about how
no,
you feel, or
I
you
don't
just
know.
don't know.
No, because
Mm,
again, if I try to do that, then I'm in the future, right?
right?
I mean, for
Totally.
myself anyway. And I do know that it's a really great question, Gord.
Mm,
And one of the things I've always tried to honor is that I don't have all the answers all the time. I don't know. But I also know that I'm the kind of person where I go all in at a crazy level or
right.
I don't do much at all, which isn't the best. But I also know that when I'm playing at a high level like I am now, I've achieved really cool things. So
Yeah.
it's like I kind of feel like I don't want to say right now it's now or never for me,
Right.
but maybe it is. Maybe I die tomorrow. Maybe I have a heart attack and it's game over. So, like, this last sprint is like my legacy on YouTube is like in 2024, I published 100 videos.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is I published one video in 2 months, July and August.
Mhm.
Um, and a lot of those videos came at the end in the fall and early winter. So,
So how did it feel in July, August when you weren't feeling well and that? Because that's what my fear about is because I've had some major health threats that I had to like, okay, I got to get my health in order. I got to do this. I got to do
well,
that.
sure,
And so I
exactly.
have this little bit of radar that is future looking and going, okay, I just got to be sure I keep myself balanced. That's why I
I
asked that
guess I
question.
for me, the answer is, what do I really want the most? And so for me, it's like I
Mm.
want to play at a high level and I want to see how far I can go. And in order
Mhm.
to achieve that, like when you train for the Olympics, you don't worry about, I need to make sure I reserve enough energy. You go all out every day for years so you can compete in the Olympics. And YouTube is like that too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
for me, it's kind of like, I'll worry about burnout once I get to where I want to go because who even cares right now? Like if I'm
Yeah.
trying to like minimize like my outputs so I don't burn out and I like, if I was, I was averaging like now I probably average 3,000 views per video with every 10th video doing really well. And I was
Wow.
probably averaging 1,500 views with every 50 videos, 50th
Mhm.
video doing well. So now I'm really improved. And so I think I just need to be aware that at some point I'm going to have to take a step back. But I also
Mhm.
know that like 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, for 4 years, I mean, I would take a break for a month, but nobody really thought about me as I took a long break. Being gone for a month because you write a book or you make a course is not a
Mhm.
break. Being gone for a year when you upload one video a month is. There's a big
Yeah.
difference in that. So I guess once I get to that point where I need to be worried, then I'll be worried. But right now, like the only way I can really reach my level, I feel, is to put in more effort and it's not just so much output, it's just playing at a high level. Maybe I only make 2 videos in a 1 month period, but I really spend a lot of time in those videos. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
Because sometimes I like to pretend that I'm a filmmaker or I'm going out getting all these B-roll shots, or like now I'm in the studio trying to like the bokeh needs to be bigger. Like I think I'm Michael Mann. I
Mhm.
don't like Michael Mann, the movie Heat, and he filmed this movie Heat with really long lenses and it feels cramped and the bokeh in the background. And I don't, for me, I really enjoy that, and that's
Mhm.
like the creative expression that keeps me moving forward. So I want to honor that. And once I get to the success that I desire, then I'll worry about burnout.
Yeah. Well, that's great. That's one of the things, one of my sort of, I'll call it sabotage fear things is that aspect because I've had some pretty nasty health problems. But
Sure.
now in coming back and feeling, much better now, I'm really inspired to put in that energy. And I used to be, and I'm going to use this analogy, Brian, for what you just described about how you go out all out and high level. When I was working in my IT world my previous career, there was a co-manager of mine who was hugely successful, and he says, "You got to learn how to be a donkey. You're a racehorse. The donkeys are the ones that are around for the long run." And I said, "Yeah, but I if I do that, it's like death for me, like being the one that's just gonna play a game for survival where I like want to achieve and reach my potential and help other people." And
Yeah.
it's like a whole different kind of
Yeah.
mindset. And when I realized that, like, yeah, I can't sell myself out that way. So wherever it takes me, it's going to take me, kind of thing is how I felt. And that's what I'm kind of hearing from you.
Well, right. And it's like when you think about that too, like being in corporate America where you're kind of like not that excited about your job. You've been there for 15 years. You're jaded, you're bitter, you're pissed off. You probably think you should make more money. Of course, you're going to be a donkey and you're just going to try to put in what you need to put in to make sure you keep your job so you can show up and get that bi-weekly paycheck versus being an entrepreneur where you're
Mhm.
trying to prove yourself, prove your worth, trying to create, like make a mark and have your little space on the internet. That's a big ask. I think a lot of people, they don't really appreciate their desire. They don't understand, that, to be a 1% player means that you need to outperform 99%.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
just, oh, the algorithm hates me. No, you're not putting in the effort. Like I look at Nick Nimmin and like his dedication has been incredible. And when
Mhm.
he came up, he really hustled, And
Oh yeah.
Daniel Battelle, same thing. Like I look at Daniel Battelle. Did you see that video he just published? Christmas video, incredibly creative
No,
song,
I didn't, but
super
I'll go
editing.
check it out.
You know,
Yeah.
he's like a professional musician, was in a
Hmm.
band, a signed band for a long time. And he spent hours and hours writing a song, recording the song, shooting the video with multiple camera angles, multiple locations, multiple people, then editing, learning different editing techniques in DaVinci Resolve. And
Hmm.
he's doing the same thing I'm talking about, which is pushing yourself. So
Right.
I think if you want to grow, you have to be willing to do the hard work because there's no easy button and people will always look for it. And sadly, they won't find it. And then a lot of people will blame the algorithm because then it's not their fault, you know?
Yeah, and that draws me to what I often say to people. It's like YouTube's a marathon, not a sprint, and you're going to discover whatever your intentions are when you start out, really what you're made of, because it's hard. It's not so easy, and it's an interesting game of growth to to succeed at, and that's part of why I love it. And so like when I see my first few videos back and I see some things I really like about what I'm doing, that's inspiring me to now, start to work on, well, how do I make, like you said, the video more engaging and keep people watching and all of those things. And what's great about it is there are things that you can control ultimately if you put in the
Absolutely.
effort and want to learn, as compared to, you know, like saying that the algorithm doesn't like me, or the things you just have no control over. It's really about,
Exactly.
yeah,
It's easy to fall into into that place. And there are a lot of people that live there, so they'll welcome you. Yeah, the algorithm sucks. But at the end of the day, you're hanging around a bunch of losers that don't have any results rather than running with the winners, you know? So I think it's really important to make that decision that, you know, you need a really strong friend group that'll say, "Hey, listen, it's really hard and you're not doing what needs to be done.
yeah.
So
I
do the
think that's
thing."
so important. What you just said is having your a network of supportive people that you can all help with each other. And you've mentioned people like Nick and Daniel and I remember you guys used to like talk all the time. You probably still do keep in touch at a level, and that just helps you want to get better. You know what I mean? And being able to have people that care about you and share some good feedback, and I think that's fantastic. And that's something, a good thing to encourage people to develop, that kind of like network that of people that are also, co-creators in
Sure.
YouTube to help. I'd highly recommend that. Just like when you ran your group coaching for quite a while. And I think that was a great space for people to be as well, right? In these
Oh,
communities,
absolutely. That's the
make a big
value of,
difference, right?
I think that's the value of a true coaching program. And they're usually not cheap, but like I would try to do a group coaching program. So it's not personal, but you do have access to me. You have access to a group of people that's a community, and they're all people that are, you know, doing the work and striving to make it happen. And that's really powerful because then you're in a winning circle, you know, so super powerful.
Yeah, that's great. So I know I may have beaten this one to death, but I'm just wanting to get a little more clarity for myself. So when I talk about the self-care thing and burnout and stuff like that, um, did you at all in your coming back say, or did you like just say, no, like you said before, no, that's thinking about the future, about things that can potentially go wrong and kind of sabotage, um, that you weren't going to let any of those things about health or whatever, concerns for risks if they were to happen, or did you just say, I'm going for it, and then if in the moment something happens, I'll just address it, kind of thing, and take that action there. I'm not going to put the pressure on.
Yeah.
And I ask that because when you're producing 3 to 4 videos a week, if you feel off for a week, like that 3 to 4, the pressure of going down to, I'll be
Well,
lucky to get one out this week because I'm just feeling like crap. You know what I
well,
mean?
yeah, but I think you have to be okay with that too. You know what I mean? You have to
Yeah.
find that balance in the middle. And so,
Do you do anything to help yourself to like you seem so much more, I don't know if this is the right word, centered, almost like there's this like a spiritual calm about the way you're communicating, that like what do you do? Like I hear Nick talk about he does meditation regularly, right? Like,
Yeah.
what do you do to help you keep yourself grounded that way?
Yeah. So for me, it's just really knowing that the most important thing is that I'm good. That's before YouTube. So
Hmm.
when it happens where like I think I haven't published in I'm gonna say probably 5 days or so, but like, I just picked up my girlfriend from the airport. She flew in from Paraguay. Like I wanted to spend time with her. We haven't seen each other in 4 months.
Yeah.
Um, it's only been 5 days, and already I feel a little like I really want to publish. But like,
You could have made the decision to put one or two of the last ones in the bank to defer, right? I mean, you mentioned that earlier, and it's
sure.
like now you've removed that from your headspace. When it's ready, out it goes, right?
Well, because at the end of the day, like I can worry about burning out, but I'm also worried about achieving the results I'm after.
Right.
And I think that if I and furthermore, I might actually burn out just as much by playing it safe because then I'm not getting the results that I'm after, and then I'm sad and upset because I'm not getting the results that I'm after, and I start asking myself the question that people always ask themselves: Is it worth it? So it's
Yeah.
like,
That's
yes, I
interesting.
need to take care of myself when I need to take care of myself. But before I worry about burnout, I'm going to worry about success and, and like, you know what I mean? It's like, I care more about success than burnout.
Yeah.
And furthermore, like,
Yeah.
I
That's
mean,
so
I'm in a
great.
different space in my life.
So many people want to play it safe and be comfortable and just sort of dilly dally along the path. And that's why when you're built like the racehorse I described, like you are and I am, um, you're just not you're not going to just take the easy way out, right? I mean, I did do that, but I chalk a lot of that up to dealing with health challenges too and
well, right. I think,
caregiving. But that was
yeah.
life, like you described, like if something happened. So unfortunately, I had to deal with all of this, and it did affect my inspiration to come back because it was easy for me to just say, "Who's going to care about me now?" To try and come back, and why don't I just get rid of my channel and start anew? And then I go, "Well, I'm still interested in stuff around what I was producing. I'm going to give it a go and do my best to bring myself back where I was." But you know, I'm hoping it's different this time.
Well, it's always different. Like you've already said it. You just described your coming back as, oh, that was kind of fun and there are some things I enjoyed. And I think if we can honor that, we're
Yeah.
good. And it's like, yeah, I could have banked a few videos, but the fact of the matter is I just recorded 2 videos before this interview, and I have one of them, the files are in Final Cut Pro. They've been rendered, they've been color
Mm.
corrected.
Oh, okay.
So I'll have a video done probably tomorrow, and then I published on day 6, no big deal. And I have another one. I've already set it to my video editors. You know what I mean? So it's
Oh,
like
great.
by the time that's another thing that I did, and it's interesting that there are things you can do to offload some of the work. Once the money comes in, or if you have money and funds available to invest in your growth. I don't like the word business because I'm
Yeah.
more about like the creative life. And I'm not
Yeah.
looking to run a business. I'm looking to make a shit ton of money myself easily, without a bunch of worry. Like that's what I'm interested in. Um, so, as far as the burnout
Yeah.
goes, like it
Yeah.
does, if I'm burnt out and I'm not successful, it doesn't matter that much anyway. If I burn out and I am successful, then I have more to lose. But I'll deal with that then. Like, shit, I got enough to worry about today. I got these videos I want to get done.
Hmm.
I
That's
want to
cool.
spend
I
time
mean, it
with,
sounds like you're keeping the engine going, which is fantastic. I was just
yeah.
more wanting to find out should those scenarios hit, how you deal
Well,
with them now, and
Well, like
it's a
I said,
little
I
different.
like
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
usually publishing about every second to third day right now. And I
Hmm.
haven't published in 5 because I need to take time for me personally because most of the time we need to take care of ourselves.
Yeah.
And before this, there was a time where it was just me and I had a lot of free time to work. And so what did I do? I leveraged that and I pushed forward. Now, a lot of people might think, well, I don't have that, so I can't succeed, or, I will never have. Well, that's okay, but I was publishing like maybe 4 videos a week. I bet most people could publish 2 if they really wanted it bad enough. It's just a matter of like, what can you let go of, Like,
Yeah, it's funny you say that, and because of the philosophy you shared with us today about, sort of like what keeps you going and going on to the next one and publishing more and your goals. There are a lot of people that would just say, "Okay, I made 4 videos now. I've got my content for the month, and I'm happy." So it's like I want to say that competitive spirit in you to help yourself
yeah.
reach that next level. It doesn't always exist for people. That's why some of those will just say, well, the algorithm's screwing me because I'm not getting any views. You know what I mean? Like
a
it's a
hundred
whole
percent,
different
right.
philosophy it's about rather than looking at yourself, they're looking for external reasons to rationalize
Exactly. It's
why
just a
that's
lot
not coming
easier.
to them. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, it's
much
a lot
easier to
easier.
look that way.
But sadly, like you do, like the good news is you do that and you don't have to accept responsibility. And the bad news is you're not accepting responsibility and you never
Mhm.
get anywhere because you're not accepting responsibility. That's one of the things I learned from Nick. He talked about a book that he really loves, which is like, extreme ownership. And I
Mm.
never read the book, but that was enough. The title was enough to really know that it's on me. I can
Yeah,
blame
yeah,
YouTube,
yeah,
but there's a lot of people that are succeeding, and it's like I'm not so damn special that the algorithm is going to hold me back. They're just looking for a great video to put in front of people.
yeah,
And if
yeah.
I worry about figuring out how to make that video, I'm going to be better off. So,
Great. So now I have a very curious question because so much has changed in the last year plus, and that's the introduction of AI. And I've seen you publish a number of videos. There was a time when you were really hot on some of the images and things that you could produce, and there'd be a lot of
hmm
B-roll images and things now in there. And now we're seeing the video starting to evolve, and you played with some of those examples. Where do you see that at? And personally, I see it as incredible creative potential opportunity that's
sure.
unlimited now. Like, how do you see um, you've used it so far and your pursuit of AI playing a role in whatever it is in your YouTube journey?
For me, it's an enhancement to what I've always done. In my videos, I feel like there was one video where it did feel a little different from what I've typically done, but it was still my voice, it was my story, it was my thoughts, my ideas, and a lot of AI. And I did that because I needed to see for myself where AI was at, what the process was like. And I thought the video was pretty interesting and cool. And a lot of the imagery was awesome, but wasn't
Mhm.
quite there yet. Like once you take a step back and you see the work a few weeks, a month later, maybe not. It's kind of looking back at old photos and wondering, what the hell was I thinking about with that haircut? It's awful. And I think today, it's still not quite there. I think maybe in a year from now, maybe 6 months, but it's really getting close. And that's the video side. And when it comes to imagery, absolutely, there's a lot of really neat applications. So I think
Mhm.
for me, it's about understanding how to make better content in an ethical manner without losing sight of who I am,
Right.
which is I'm always been creating the same kind of videos versus someone that is, how do I press a button with a tool to generate a video? That's a very
Right,
different
right,
thing.
right. Yeah.
Um,
So I see it as a very collaborative thing, being able to use AI. And I state that because, for example, I've been challenged to use a prop in a video, which is not something that I've typically done. And in my last long form video, which I published a week ago, it's about 12 minutes plus.
sure.
And oh, no, sorry, it was in the short I did this, which is just under 3 minutes. I actually used a prop and a metaphor using a stretch band that people use for exercising to talk about being stuck in this loop of self-sabotage and the different things and
Right.
how to
Sure.
stretch. And I go, oh my God, there's a whole other level. And that's why I was challenged to do it of storytelling and anecdotes and putting more of your personal authenticity into it. But I learned more about that as well through AI and researching and learning.
Absolutely.
And so I see,
Yes.
oh my God, this is just like opening up so much in possibility for storytelling and other things. But keep hearing people say, oh, but like you just said, you can't lose your voice in it, or it's just going to be something that's not really you and people can recognize. Well, I work so, I want to say, intently with AI to make the finished result me, and
Sure.
as much. So it's an interesting balance, but I just find there's so much fun and possibility with using what AI has to offer in many ways.
Yeah, and I think as creatives, we need to be inspired and excited about what we're making, and when we're not, it's game over. Like
Mhm.
a lot of people that chase YouTube for the money or for the fame, it's like it's that must be really hard, you know. Excuse me, I think one of the reasons I've done what I've done on YouTube is because I love to create. Even when a video does bad, I still like a day later, I'm thinking about the next one, you know, and I need something to do. So with my life, so it's a good balance.
How, if you have any advice for people that are not youngsters that are coming into YouTube new, or who are struggling, can you just give some a quick tip or perspective on how to bring simplicity and authenticity into what they're doing, so so that they can, succeed being who they are on video?
Yeah, yeah, like I said, I think it's easy to overthink, and the more we don't do, the more thinking we have available because we're not doing the thing we want to do. So we think about it. I think that's the first step. The second step is to do your best to let go of questions that don't really serve the result we're after. So when's the best
Mhm.
time to publish? When your video is done. Now you don't have to think about it. Just publish the damn video. Because I promise when your title is really powerful based on a topic that matters, when there's a big idea in the video that's
Yeah.
interesting, then that can really pull people in, get them to click, and the big idea keeps them watching, and we can honor and stay focused on what truly matters. So, I think the more we can really just break things down to these are the things that truly matters, and I need to
Mhm.
push away everything else.
Mhm. Cool.
Most creators don't do that. They stay stuck on the small little things. And I think it's because there must be something else to it that I don't understand. And no, you get it. You just you're not good enough yet, which is kind of a hard pill to swallow. But
Oh
like,
yeah.
I think the more we practice and become a creative and artistic with the video quality, the video edit, the thumbnail, the editing, the audio, the storytelling, the more we honor those things, we let go of all the questions. Well, then the more we're focused on how to really get the answers, and it becomes kind of simple because it's not hard.
Mhm.
If you really think about it, like as once you've made 10 or 20 videos, it's actually pretty simple, but
Mhm.
it's emotionally taxing to put ourselves out there, and we have to find peace with that. And once we do, then we can just get on with the work that needs to be done.
Yeah. Very good words of wisdom there, Brian. So thank you so much for joining me today and taking the time. I know this was a long one. I just was so happy to be able to explore, it's kind of the topic of where I'm at for, older creators and dealing with things like my comeback. And I think a lot of what you said will be very inspirational to those people that are becoming creative types, or maybe are already and are struggling. And that was one of the things I struggled with as an entrepreneur coming into this space. Is I had an IT career before, and now I'm supposed to be a creative, but it's a passion that I've explored and love the journey. And so for people, I just want people to know that they can explore that, and even if they haven't done it before, and there's great opportunity, and not to give up. And so I want to honor you for sharing that wisdom with us today. And what's in the next chapter for Brian? If you were to just say what's next, what's like one of your big goals, so we can share with everyone?
Uh, I mean, honestly, I just want to keep it simple right now. Like I want to stay consistent for the next year, and I want to be uploading at least one video a week. That's kind of the promise to myself. But more than that, I want to see how far I can go. So I don't know, Gord, because I don't
Okay.
know how far I can go, but I'm going to find out.
Well,
So
that's cool. Having some simple goals and not pushing yourself too far into resolving what the whole future thing. But I
yeah,
think you once
exactly.
hinted to me you have another book in you coming sometime.
Well, right. And but yeah, I don't know. Like
Yeah,
before the book comes a course, and before the course, I
mm,
want to publish more videos to get the
got it.
results I'm after.
No
So
point heaping that all on.
I can only take one step at a time.
Yeah,
I'm just not
that's great
capable at
advice.
this point. Like I'm kind of at my limit right now with videos, but at a point, maybe I'm going to pull back a bit,
Mm,
bank 4 or 5 videos, and then spend a month on a course. And then I've got something new to release, which is probably what I'll do. But I don't know. Like right now, what's the future look like? Publishing the video on the latest AI update and YouTube asking for your consent to train the AI models. So like it's just one, focusing on what's in front of me that has really made it doable for myself.
that's great. Well, thank you again, Brian. I really enjoyed today, and I hope people can learn some great nuggets from our chat today.
Awesome, Gord. Thank you so much. It was fun to reconnect and have this video podcast with you. So thank you.
Thank you.